Welcome back. So, some quite surprising news. Yes, India has decided to restrict its exports of all types of rice except for basmati. This is due to the rising rice prices and the general shortage. The population of India deserves to get their fair share of the rice first. So they are cutting their exports to other countries. Of course, this has a knock-on effect on those people, those countries that they are supplying with their rice. On the good side, Vietnam, which is also a great sort of exporter of rice, says they have no plans currently to restrict their exports. So that's an option. But of course, maybe increasing demand might drive up the prices. This perhaps underlines something important for Korea that, Koreans have been talking about for quite some time: food independence. As long as we are dependent upon other nations to import food from, anything that goes wrong, any bad harvests or disruptions in the supply chain will ultimately have a knock-on effect on Korea. So, yes, further calls for increasing food independence.
I can't see how that's going to happen.
Yeah, with a country the size of Korea, I think Britain, we have got such a large population for the size of our nation. I think we could never conceivably be
And that's including Scotland, which is huge.
But doesn't have great arable land.
Also true.
But with global warming, that may change. Who knows? Do you think you could manage without rice? Would you say that rice is a staple in your diet or in your country's diet?
Well, for America, there's a lot of people who eat rice, of course. There's a lot of rice around everywhere, especially when it is coming through that sort of Spanish, Mexican sort of like, that sort of feeling of food will have a lot of rice in it. But I would call the staple probably grain. Grains and rice. Grains and rice are a big, huge thing in America. But for staple for me, yeah, absolutely. Living in Korea, rice is a staple. I stopped eating it for like a couple months because why? Oh, I was like packing up and stuff and I just put my rice cooker away. And I just didn't eat a lot of it for a while. But it definitely helps supplement every meal.
Yeah, I think the British, we are grains like you guys, but potatoes. I think our first or second staple is potatoes above rice. Although with the Indian influence, hi India, we love you.
Please continue to do what you do.
Please continue to be nice to us. We also love rice with our curries and so on.
Yeah. I think rice is becoming a very big sort of consumable food around the world. Many different cultures eat a lot of rice.
Do you think it is healthy to have rice as your main source of caloric intake, if that was the majority of the food you were eating?
Well, I think we have to separate. Well, I'm not a scientist or a doctor or any sort of nutritionist at all. However, I do think that calories are calories, for one. However, you need a balance between your different nutrients. So if your main source of meals come from only rice and then you have like a tiny bit of vegetables, of course that's unhealthy. But if you're having a main source of caloric intake from rice and then you get your protein intake from over here and your vitamin intake from over here, I think that could be on the healthy side. I think it just depends. I did see old pictures of how much rice Koreans used to eat, like back a few hundred years ago. I think it was a excerpt from a journal in the 1600s.
Was it with the picture of the giant rice bowl?
That was in the 1800s, but the 1600s described the same thing of like just this bowl, but then yum. But that probably is not so healthy.
I guess that much of anything in one sitting.
Yeah. Except ice cream, that's fine.
If only.
If only.
So, as we consider the repercussions of eating a whole bowl of ice cream, don't curtail your English learning just yet. After this video finishes, take a look at the vocabulary, study it carefully, and try to use it in your everyday English. And we will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Staple.
Staple.
Impose.
impose,
Repercussion.
repercussion,
Curtail.
curtail,
Imperative.
imperative,